Now this might be an unpopular opinion for some, but depending on where you look, I actually think that 2017 has been a wonderful year for fragrances. Hey forum, Manny back here with another video on the CascadeScents fragrance station, and this one is on my top 5 best fragrance releases of 2017. Again, now before we get on with everything, the goal for this video is 500 likes. If we reach that goal, I'll randomly PM a random subscriber in the comment section below for their details, as you'll be the recipient of an assorted niche fragrance sample pack. Now anyway, about these fragrances, I know it says best in the title, but it's pretty much what's best for me, so what I prefer the most, so it's pretty much my favorite fragrance releases of the year. So if you're interested in any of these fragrances that I'm about to feature, but you haven't smelled any of them yet, as always, try before you buy, because it goes without saying that results of any kind will vary. And with that being said, we do have lots to get through, so we might as well start off with my number 5 fragrance of the year. Here's Fabulous by Tom Ford. Now, why did Fabulous make this list? It's not so much about how much I enjoy wearing it, although I low-key do, but honestly, I've never smelled a fragrance that I was testing for myself that I'd rather smell on a female, like, ever. I was just so taken aback by this overall, and I was like, I need to smell this on Bae already. Opens up slightly creamy and sweet on my skin with that bitter almond and tonka, which I think is cool that they emphasize because I'm used to a much more sickly almond and tonka, so this is a nice change of pace for me. Got some aromatic elements like that clary sage to kind of offset it a bit too, as well as some of that orris root for some added powderiness. But for the most part, this is just a linear, creamy, sweet scent that kind of gets leathery towards the end. Perfect date scent in my opinion for any fashionable girl or guy. It just evokes a sheer idea of getting ready and going out, and if you haven't smelled this yet, I don't think you can understand what I'm saying here, but I think you can empathize with me if you have. But with that being said, the reason to why it is actually ranked lower on this list is of course because of the price. Tom Ford private blends are already super pricey, and as much as you know I'd love to smell this off of the opposite sex, I'll just echo what my homie Imagine Scent said about this objectively speaking. It just doesn't smell too niche or exclusive enough when it comes to the asking price as far as what you're getting in blend and ingredients. So keep in mind, with a higher price point, you are paying into the obvious New York Fashion Week hype of when this thing dropped, as well as the obvious shock value of the name here. But you know, again, I can't help but love it, so simply put, it's Fabulous, my number 5 fragrance of the year. Now moving on to my number 4, another heavyweight hype train, here it is, Viking by Creed. Now why did Viking make the list? Believe it or not, I was looking for a unique, fresher type fragrance for this autumn and winter, and here it is, appropriately named Viking. Viking opens up citrusy and peppery, but I get the peppermint in the heart with the rose almost ASAP off of my skin. The peppermint is done in such a brazen way too, which is rare because peppermints are seldom done so aggressively, so I'll take this nice change of pace, especially since I wanted this for the upcoming winter. Dry down wise, more subdued with a very subtle sandalwood, but I still get a lot of those masculine undertones like lavender and vetiver. Overall, while Viking leans classy and gentlemanly, which I historically love, my main problem with it is the same problem I had with Fabulous, and that's its price point, of course. Somehow, evaluation-wise, it's priced higher than most of the other Creeds out there, and to me, I just don't detect that ingredient quality in this. So despite its versatility and uniqueness, to me, it's only good, not great, and that's why it's ranked lower than almost everything else here. So again, it's my number 4 fragrance of the year, Viking by Creed. Now moving on to the number 3 fragrance of the year, here's Dragonfly by Zoologist Perfumes. Now why is Dragonfly on this list? Well, it's a fruity floral that is well balanced, that is seemingly perfect for the spring. So historically, it's my kind of fragrance. I'm actually a huge fan of heliotrope, which is kind of the main event in the opening. The vanillic flower allows for an easy transition into other florals like iris, which provide for a gorgeous powdery feel if you're into that. Add in some rice, believe it or not, with some softer, musky, and woody notes, and you have a very mass appealing yet artsy enough scent that tells a story. Because in retrospect, I can actually envision real dragonflies flutter around in a very beautiful smelling habitat like this. But again, I mentioned mass appealing like in a mainstream way, so if you know Zoologist Perfumes at all, you know that most of them are not that. So personally speaking, I don't think that this would be too daring of a sample wear for most people, unless you are a male who's afraid of coming off as too feminine, which almost all fruity florals are exclusively, including this one. But you know me, forum, wear what you love, and in this case, I can't wait to get more wears out of this in the spring. Again, it's my number 3 fragrance release of the year, Dragonfly by Zoologist Perfumes. Now moving on to my number 2 fragrance of the year, Toukka by House Matriarch. Now, why is Toukka Total my number 2 fragrance of the year? Well, simply put, it's my favorite fruity floral that I've ever smelled. Like, not just from 2017 releases, but ever, period. Opens up gorgeous with the tropical fruits, primarily with mangoes, but such a sensible transition into the floral heart too, with yellow florals and white florals that don't go indolic or stanky whatsoever on my skin, which I appreciate. So just super pretty, fruity, floral, slightly aquatic smelling stuff, and even in the base, the notes are awesome with the coconut, which I typically dislike, but thankfully it's not too sickly off of me either here. I smell this and I'm immediately transported to somewhere tropical, which was obviously the goal from one of my best homies, Imagine Scent, the creative genius behind this scent in collaboration with House of Matriarch. Like, this dude came up with this scent and I'm so proud of him because it's so pretty and I know how much this scent means to him. But I can honestly say that the first time I ever smelled this stuff in front of him, that I was just pleasantly blown away. And he knows that I'm the first to keep it 100 with him with just about anything on our minds. So yeah, I wholeheartedly love this, guys, and you know, if it was truly whack, I would have told him. But it's not. It's just so natural and full of life, just perfect for the summer. So as a result, it's my number 2 fragrance. Again, it's Toukka Total by House of Matriarch. Now moving on to the main event, my number 1 fragrance of the year, which may or may not come as a shock to some of you guys because I've yet to mention this brand whatsoever on this channel. But here we go. Here's Note de Yuzu by James Heeley in collaboration with Maison Kitsune. So why did Note de Yuzu top my list? Well, I love yuzu, which in case you didn't know already, yuzu is a super juicy Japanese citrus that has a fizzy, almost lemon lime soda kind of vibe. So here you get a lot of that among other citruses, which are fairly notable at first, but I do detect some saltiness ASAP. And then eventually the more fleeting notes disappear as it gets saltier with the vetiver and white musk in the dry down, kind of almost seaweed-like, but I actually love it. Now overall, I really love how straightforward this scent is, as it does well in what it's supposed to be, which is a traditional Japanese yuzu bath. Now I've never had that kind of bath like ever, but if it smells anything like this, then I'm completely up for it one day. Like, this is just super clean, super juicy, yuzu, marine, easy to wear awesomeness. So not much more else to say here because it's a rather simple fragrance, but it was the kind of simple that I can connect with ASAP because it was simply love at first sniff. So all in all, I'd be very surprised if this wasn't my number 1 summer fragrance next year, but for now it has to settle for being just my number 1 fragrance of 2017. It's Note de Yuzu by James Heeley in collaboration with Maison Kitsune. So there it is for him. Hopefully you enjoyed watching me talk about some of my favorite releases of the year, but it's that time of the video where I'd love to hear some of your feedback. What do you think of some of these fragrances? Are you a fan, and are you excited to try any of them if you haven't so already? And also, what are some of your favorite releases of the year and why? Please let me know in the comments below. And as always, again, if you enjoyed this video or if it put a smile on your face, please subscribe if you have yet to. And until then, salute and thank you as always. Take care for now. Peace out. Bye. Wear your fragrances.
Wake up in the morning, I spray my creed and get to it. I played my cards right, you just left looking foolish. All my shit be authentic, those ain't diamonds in your piece. You buy a bitch fake Chanel, spelled with